John, the logo's out there right now. What are your thoughts on it then?
It's a real mix of emotions, from absolutely delighted that we've been in a position to be able to share this piece of work with people. We've been working on it really creatively working on it since around September last year, to get to the stage where we are now, where we've actually gone public with it and showed it in all its guises, from its full colour version, the mono versions, which the feedback we've got, people actually feel the mono version of the identity is as strong as the full colour version of it. How it can be animated, because the digital space is going to be hugely important to us. They believe London's going to be the most, or rather the first, truly digital sporting event in the way people consume the content. And our identity took that on board, because we have to work in that space. So that's the real upside. There's also a kind of sense of relief, because we've kept us really under wraps for, I don't know, really since last November, because we landed on it and got it all signed off last November by the Commonwealth Games Federation Board, because I think people need to understand we're mainly licensees to a licensed product. The owners of that product or license are the Commonwealth Games Federation. So going through the whole process, we had to create it, take it to our board, get the board to sign it off, then take it to the Commonwealth Games Federation to get their sign off, because we have to, and you'll see in the logo, the sort of bar and emblems underneath it have to be integrated into the identity, and this is the first time ever that it's been done. So from that point of view, we're absolutely thrilled with it and delighted that it's out there, and hopefully now people will start to engage with it.
It sounds like it's been a long, arduous process to get to this stage then. How have you managed to keep it quiet then, if it's been finished since November? What hoops have you had to jump through to keep this such a secret?
I'll go back to your first point, and that it's not actually been an arduous process. Right. I think it's quite important that people actually understand the process we went through. Right. We stood up at the Glasgow School of Art in June last year. It was an open call to the creative community of Scotland and beyond. Over 60 agencies turned up. Now we walked them through the process, so the process isn't a surprise to anyone, whereby we're very aware of the market out there just now. We're also very aware that clients ask for beauty parades. We didn't want to do that. We asked for anyone that was interested to send in their creds and their two best pieces of graphic design. From that, we would select a number of people to meet. Now, by meeting, whether you call it chemistry session, artistry session, or whatever, we wanted to meet them because we were going to have to work with them, and they really had to get what we were about. So of those 66 actually, they ended up submitting them, and it was from all over the world. The biggest segment actually was out of London. Of the 66, 25 were out of London, 15 were out of Scotland. The rest were all scattered throughout Europe and North America. We saw work in 10 of the agencies. We wanted to see them and meet them and see whether we could get on with one another and work with one another. And we only actually briefed 6 agencies. Only 6 agencies got the full brief. So we fully appreciate that agencies put a lot of time and effort into meeting people, which is why we only gave 6 agencies the full brief. Now 6 may seem a large number of agencies to get the full brief, but of the 10 that we met, people had done work for Sydney, had created the identity for Sydney Olympics, created the identity for Melbourne, some do work for FIFA and UEFA. So you're fishing in the right areas, and all had something to give. But we went through the process and Mark won out, and I'm sure we'll talk about them a bit later. But the process from there was a normal pitch process. We gave people a month to respond to the brief. From there we made a decision. The reality is that what Mark ended up presenting and what you've seen today at the pitch phase is not really developed massively. What we spent a lot of time developing round about is all the brand guidelines that support it, all the animated work that's going to support it, the visual language, typography, photographic style, art direction. So there's been a lot of work that you probably even see today that's been done and has been boxed off, because we wanted to get to a place where once the identity is launched, we can then move forward. So from November through to today, there's been a lot of work, not just on the identity, but everything that surrounds it.
So now it's out there, how will you use the brand then? What can we expect to see? How can we expect to see it used?
We're not going to buy a lot of paid-for media just now. There's no point. There's a couple of big hurdles in the way of us. There's Delhi, which is the next Commonwealth Games in October this year. There's London 2012. Now, London 2012 is going to dominate. We're very much a much smaller product than the Olympics. The UK is a very small market. There's the decade of sport. There's England's bid for the World Cup. There's a Rugby World Cup for Rugby Union, the UK next year. There's a lot going on. We've also got pretty limited resources in terms of spend. Our principal media spend, if you want, will be post-London, when we will start ramping up our activities and our media skills. However, prior to all of that, what we do want to do, and what you will be seeing appearing throughout the city, is some key sites which we're going to wrap and build. What we're not going to do is buy traditional 48 sheet media at this stage. We're actually going to use interesting pieces around the city to communicate our messaging, and that will be starting as of, well, within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
I mean, there must be quite a few people that have been involved in the development of online and the development of branding. How many people have actually seen this?
Not very many.
Yeah.
And it's not like trying to be secret squirrel for the sake of it. It's our most valuable commercial property. We've got a very large commercial target to achieve through sponsorship. The reason why sponsors get involved, a main reason, not the only reason, but a main reason, is access to our IP and association rights. If that had leaked, it completely undermines the integrity of our commercial programme. So that's the main reason for keeping it pretty tight. In terms of the people that have seen it, clearly myself, the agency, a couple of people that work with me, our board, because we had to get them to sign it off, the Commonwealth Games Federation board, because we had to get them to sign it off, and our digital agency. Now, we're principally at the moment funded by the Scottish Government and the City Council. You can count your one hand the people within there that have actually seen it. So it'll be really interesting to get the reaction today that those that haven't seen it for the first time, to hear what we think about it.
You've told us what to expect short term. You've said as well 4.5 years until the actual Commonwealth Games happens in Glasgow. How far ahead can you think though? Because I mean, things could change dramatically. How far can you think?
It's a really good question. YouTube didn't exist 4 years ago. Social media will change. You get Bebo and Facebook, Twitter. Twitter will probably have changed. The two that I've referred to prior to it will have changed. Now, with the best will in the world, any digital strategist, if you're talking to a few, can't predict that landscape in 4 years' time. So we have to work with people to be ready to embrace it. So from a digital point of view, we're working with the right people that will help us achieve that. We can put plans in place, things will change, but it's all about being ready to those changes, and also trying to get ahead of the curve in terms of what other ways of connecting with our audience that we can achieve. So we can plan as far as the world can plan with us.